Good afternoon and happy Small Business Week. It's Thursday in Oakville here, and we've had a great week so far. So this is the fourth installment of our speaker series. On Monday, we talked about BDC's labor study and then shared tips and tricks for entrepreneurs to, improve their chances in hiring and retaining their employees. Tuesday was about innovation through diversity. And Wednesday, we talked about e-commerce and your online presence. Today, I'm so excited though. All right, this is going to be about ESG and sustainability and the way forward. I'd like to introduce my colleague, Craig Ryan. Craig is the National Director of Sustainability and ESG for BDC. Wonderful individual to talk to. Craig, welcome.
Hi, Marianne. It's a real pleasure to be here.
Yeah, so I'm super excited about this. And you know what? I know, and I always joke, but I'm going to start our timer so that we don't go over. How's that as well? So, Craig, I'm delighted that you're here. The world has changed. Yeah, that the world's changed a lot, but even in the last 18 months with COVID, we're rethinking things. And something that keeps coming up in my news feeds frequently is around sustainability and ESG. So I'd like to kick it off. And I'm going to read a statement. And it's a statement that one of the senior executives at BDC spoke at an event. And here it is. And I think this is going to underpin our discussion. So there is more pressure and incentives for companies to reduce their environmental footprint. The COVID crisis has fueled, not displaced, ESG activity. Companies will need to build ESG in their strategy, and it will be a key element to attract talent, customers, and investors. Wow. So I'm going to let everybody, think about this a moment, but let's start, what is ESG for starters, Craig?
Yeah, it's a funny acronym. It's really quite old, 20, 30 years old. It stands for environment, social, and governance. So ESG, environment, social, and governance. And it's a term that's been used for a long time by a fringe part of the investment community to refer to the performance and the value creation and the risk management of companies in addition to the money. So what they say is, if you look at a company's financial statements, that's great, but it will not tell you everything you need to know about the strength of that company or the weaknesses of that company. And to really understand the full picture, what you have to do is look at how they're treating their employees. Do they have 50 loyal, hardworking people, or is there churn? Is the business dependent on fossil fuels? And what will that mean when the carbon price rises? Is it a poorly governed company or a well-governed company? And so only by looking at the complete picture, the E and the S and the G, in addition to financial statements, can you really know if a company is worthy of your investment dollars. So that's what we mean by ESG.
That's fascinating. I learned something new in this moment. I did not realize that this dated back 20 or 30 years. Oh, it feels like it's a thing, right?
It's a thing.
Right now.
Now it feels like a thing because there's been a deluge, like gushers of talk about ESG for about a year and a half, 2 years now. And that's caused by COVID and the climate crisis.
Okay.
And it's evolved mostly in the investment community and mostly in the media classes as people do two things. They start to see more clearly the importance of well-governed companies in society that create livelihoods, that don't damage the environment, that manage themselves well. And it's also more clear in people's heads because in the past couple of years, the need to act to tackle the climate crisis is suddenly clearer in more people's heads. So I attribute it to the COVID shock, in which people are made to reflect on, well, what's really important? And does it matter to me if the business on the corner goes belly up? Well, yeah, it does. And does it matter to me if everybody is acting to help tackle a climate crisis? Yeah, it does. And so I think that we as people, we as consumers, we as employees, we as entrepreneurs are more clear-eyed and clear-headed about what's important.
So that's fascinating. And because I'm hearing, you know, we as
Mm-hmm.
employees, we as consumers. So that, which my next question, it kind of contradicts what my thinking was as I'm hearing this as well. My next comment was really, isn't this just for large businesses? Yeah, like that. Does
Oh,
it,
not at all.
tell me more, because it is Small Business Week. Yeah.
It's true. It is true that big businesses have the media teams to talk about what they're doing. But what we at
Mm-hmm.
BDC see, Marianne, is not at all. This is as much about the smalls and the mediums as it is about the larges. And what I'm very pleased to report is that what we see across the country, okay, what we see across the country is entrepreneurs who own SMEs acting this way, defining success this way, managing their companies this way. And I love investors just like everybody else, but most of these entrepreneurs are not acting because investors are saying they want it. What they're doing is they're motivated to do it, they're doing it, and they are reaping the business benefits long before most of the investing community even notices. That's what's so fascinating about and confidence building about the entrepreneurs we see.
So, all right, this is really good. I want to unpack this commentary a little bit as well, because sometimes I feel in talking to entrepreneurs and the different companies that we're speaking to and folks as well, that it's one or the other. It's profitability or it's ESG or corporate social responsibility. And what I'm hearing from you and some entrepreneurs is that it doesn't have to come at the expense of profitability. Yeah, that you can be profitable, you can be sustainable,
Oh,
and
yes.
and
Very
okay,
much
all right,
so.
yeah,
Very, very much so. And uh, I would qualify that as conventional, old-fashioned thinking. That's what the
mm-hmm,
economists would expect. That's what you'll hear at an MBA program. But what we see on the ground at BDC, and I can fill airport hangars with entrepreneurs who succeed with their businesses in these ways, is we see people walking and chewing gum at the same time. We see people building strong businesses because they're paying attention to things like environmental footprint and how they treat their workers, and their businesses are stronger as a result. We have in our portfolio at BDC, we track the performance of these companies. And what we
mm-hmm.
see is that they are in every sector of the economy, in every region of the country, and that they are as robust and as strong as any conventional company. Indeed, there are some that are powering their profitability because they act like this, because would-be employees are attracted to them, because more consumers nowadays have local clear in their head when they're making their purchasing decisions. So our experience with these entrepreneurs in Canada is the opposite of what you'll often hear, which is that you got to choose.
Right.
You don't. You can do
Okay.
both.
So yeah. Okay. So that's fantastic. And it's a relief, right? One thing you keep coming back to as well. And it's just, the mouse wheels going here as well around the way treating employees. So we published the labor study. There's a labor shortage that's taking place. And what's clear is that it's not going to correct itself or solve itself in the near term. That for probably
right.
the next 15 years, this is going to be problematic. So being ESG conscientious, is a way to attract employees.
Oh,
So,
big time.
for many, yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Big time. Big time.
Yeah.
It's
I
because people
go ahead.
nowadays, and sometimes we think it's only the millennials, but what
Right.
I see applies to all vintages, even people like me. It's just that the millennials are different because they're more explicit about it. They'll say,
Right.
yes, I need to pay my rent, and yes, I want to raise a family, but I need more than that too if I can get it. And if I can get it up the street, I'll go up there. Sayonara. And
Right.
so what more employees are looking for is to be treated with respect. Okay. And they're more attracted to companies that aren't damaging the environment, that are offering a product or a service that has benefit that they, that they're not embarrassed by and they're proud to be associated with. And, people want to be proud of where they work and they don't want to be embarrassed by
Sure.
where they work. And what they're proud of is
Right.
what that company, how that company helps make the place they live a better place to live. And that
That's
starts with people. Yeah.
Yeah.
And of course, it includes the environment.
Wow, that's awesome. And again, we're in a city that there's a major OEM here that is spending a lot of investment dollars around EV and in their vehicles. And as this moves forward, it's going to host the largest manufacturing facility for electric vehicles in North America for that company as well.
Wonderful.
Yeah,
people want to be part of the future.
They
a future they want.
Yeah, I so agree. So if I were to be, what are the ABCs of ESG? So sorry for I had to throw it in, that government bankers, right? Yeah, we like our
That's true. We like to boil it down.
So a company says, you know what, I want to reflect on this. How do I start?
The first thing you should do is set aside the acronym ESG and ask yourself one question. What am I most proud of as an entrepreneur? Am I proud of how my company helps make Oakville, for example, a better place to live? And that's usually your starting point. If you're proud of the livelihoods, that brings you to the people. If you're proud that you're part of an environmentally sustainable future, that's part of the answer. And I would not bother with ABC. I would go with straight to B. There's a certification that's being used around the world, and it really is the global world standard for ESG, created by entrepreneurs for entrepreneurs, okay, not consultants, but entrepreneurs. And it's called Certified Beneficial Corporation. So B Corp for short. If you Google it, you'll find it immediately. It's a free online strategic planning tool for everything ESG. You can use it for as long as you like. It's free forever. If you want to certify your company, meaning go to the Olympics and go all the way, sure you can. But we know armies of ESG-minded entrepreneurs across Canada, and their strat planning tool of choice is B Corp.
So that's the tool.
That's it. Start with that. You can't go wrong. And if folks want to talk to someone directly, they should call us, Marianne, and we'll be happy to chat with them.
Okay. So BDC, and we can proudly say this, is the only financial institution in Canada. Do we still hold that holds a B Corp certification? Is that true?
We were the first, but happily we are no longer the only one. There are some wonderful other financial institutions across Canada, Kindred notably in Ontario, Assiniboine in Manitoba, not very many.
Fantastic.
But we are the largest one. We're the national partner of the movement in Canada. We do workshops across the country almost every week to introduce entrepreneurs to this tool if they have ESG on their mind. And yeah, we'll be ready to talk about this anytime anyone wants to.
Okay, that's awesome as well. I know that's played an important role in BDC's DNA, right? Like that we're a different kind of bank. And so I take comfort and pride in the fact that we walk that talk as well.
That's right.
Let's get a little more local here as well. So the Oakville Chamber is participating in something that's so cool. And it's a buy local campaign in the community as well. They're raising a lot of awareness around this. So talk to us about how does that support a sustainability campaign or mindset?
Oh, totally. It's the same movement. Looked at from a different angle with a different name, but it's the same thing. When business associations launch campaigns of this kind, what they're doing is encouraging the real economy in that place where those livelihoods are created, where those that economic opportunity and that economic belonging is created. And it's it's really in tune with the change zeitgeist of our times, which we're back to COVID, and how we've just spent almost 2 years now surrounded by a horrible pandemic, surrounded by an economic shutdown, which makes us reflect on what's important and what's not, and what's important and what's frivolous, and what the buying public, what employees, and what we as citizens see is that place and people matter. And when people encourage us to think local when we make our buying decisions, that is sustainability, because sustainability is all about economic prosperity that's inclusive and environmentally responsible. Sometimes when people say sustainability, our minds jump to green. We think trees, right? Mm-hmm. Common mistake. We can never take for granted. We can never assume that the economic prosperity is there and will happen of its own accord. It takes people creating and managing well and succeeding with their companies to create that economic prosperity that should be socially inclusive and environmentally responsible. So I applaud what the Oakville folks are doing. It is in perfect sync with the era of the times, and it's exactly what every place in Canada needs. So well done. Bravo.
So it's been fun for my family and I as well. It's challenged our thinking. So entrepreneurs that are on the line as well, whatever it is, whether it's a new restaurant or what we do is we search online. Okay. So Wednesday's event or talk is really important. So your online presence is as important as ever. We need to know that you're there, but so we search online and do a bit of research and then narrow it down. We look for reviews as well. Mm-hmm. So, and if you're a community member now, just having to join us as well, and we're delighted, shop local. And if you find a vendor that you really enjoy, tell other people about it as well. But we're finding as well, even to your point, when is enough and things like that. But shopping local has been, a good exercise for us, even in gift giving, that we give less gifts. All right. But the gifts that we do give have meaning because we've sought out, a unique supplier. I want to hear the story behind it and things like that. Yeah. So this is awesome. It
is. And if I may very quickly, Marianne, one of the big lessons of our COVID times has been when we think local, we tend to equate online presence with customers in other countries.
Yes.
Right? Yeah. We tend to go, they'll be shopping from all over the world if I had an online presence. But what COVID taught us was, if you're not online, they can't even find you from up the street.
Exactly.
And so too few Canadian businesses neglect that part of their business. They have to have a sophisticated, effective, doesn't have to be fancy. It just has to be simple and effective online presence so that the Marianne's and her family can find the local businesses when they're looking for them via their phone. And so if I would end with a nudge to everybody, it would be, if you're thinking sustainable, if you're thinking Oakville, if you're thinking local, get yourself online.
That's fantastic. Absolutely. And tomorrow's segment is around digital adoption and things like that as well. But Craig, as always, 20 minutes has passed in no time. It's always a pleasure. If there is a closing comment that you would like to share, what might that be?
There has never been a more exciting, important time for local businesses and Canada's real economy like Oakville, places like Oakville, to succeed, and there has never been a better time for you to do so. Visit that B Corp tool, get yourself online, and be proud of the economic belonging that you create with your successful company.
I love it. I've taken notes just from our conversation, economic belonging, that all these things. Craig, thank you so very much.
And to the
entrepreneurs. The entrepreneurs in Oakville. I hope you've enjoyed this segment. It's going to be posted on the website. We'll send out information. We'll send out the link for the B Corp tool as well. And again, thanks so much. Happy Small Business Week and all the best. Take
the same
care.
to you. I do hope to meet you people in person when all this is over.
Oh, absolutely. Count on it. Thank
Okay.
you. Bye
Bye-bye.
now.